This is the Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. From pregame to postgame coverage and breaking news, we've got you covered. Let's go. What's going on, Mountaineer fans? Welcome to episode number 46 of Mountaineer Moment. My name is Troy. I'm your host on this show, and looking forward to a Mountaineer football game soon. They haven't played since that Friday night game against BYU. Obviously had the bye week to hopefully maybe sort of kind of get healthy, get ready, and get prepared for the second half of the season. There are 6 regular season games to go, and Mountaineers can turn the tables a little bit, can turn things around. And so I hope that's the mindset in the locker room for this team. But as this is our second episode of 4 total that will be breaking down or really just a preview of the Mountaineer matchup with UCF, again, starting the second half of the season on the road at 1 o'clock Eastern on TNT. I said it on the last episode. I don't know that I've ever watched a Mountaineer football game on TNT. Maybe if you're an old timer and watched some old games like 30, 40, 50 years ago. I don't know if TNT, Mountaineers were playing on that channel back in the day. You can enlighten me if they were, but kind of interesting 1 o'clock kickoff. But this episode is going to be one that we've done every Mountaineer game so far, given just a fun kind of episode, talking about some over-unders to watch for in the matchup, some things to keep an eye on. But again, this is Mountaineer Moment, episode number 46. We're available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. Go check us out on all of those platforms, and please consider subscribing so that you can help me and I can help you be in the know when we have new content coming your way. All right, the first over-under that we're going to get to on this episode. Over-under, the line, over-under 3.5 quarterbacks to throw a pass, and that is combined for UCF and West Virginia. And I'll explain why it's set at 3.5, because UCF has some questions at quarterback, just as the Mountaineers do. We know the story with West Virginia. Nico Markiel starts the first 4 games of the season, gets injured. We didn't really know the severity of it, and then he's ruled out for the season. He's going to medical redshirt, then he intends to transfer, all of that fun stuff. After that 4th game, Jalen Henderson gets the start at quarterback. The senior transfer starts Game 5 against Utah, struggles, but it wasn't just him that struggled. It was the whole team that struggled. That was a really, really bad performance for the Mountaineers. And then apparently he gets hurt. So he was ruled unable to play the following week against BYU. And as you were counting down the days to that game, it was like, man, oh man, it sure looks like it's either going to be Khalil Wilkins or Scotty Fox getting the start. And sure enough, it was Khalil Wilkins getting the start against BYU. There was good, there was bad, there was ugly in that performance by the redshirt freshman. There's an episode exactly titled that, Khalil Wilkins, the good, the bad, the ugly, against BYU. You can go check out that one if you didn't get a chance to, or you didn't get a chance to watch the Mountaineer game against BYU on the West Coast that kicked off after 10 o'clock here in the Eastern time zone. But it was Khalil Wilkins who got the start. And again, there were some good things. He carried the ball 23 times, took a lot of hits, and just kept fighting. Showed a lot of grit and toughness. Made a few nice passes, made a few bad passes. Had a few ugly plays, had a few, throws you would like to have back, and all that kind of thing. But the thing about Khalil, I think, in that performance is he looked more comfortable by the end than he did at the beginning. And that's what you should expect and should desire to see from a redshirt quarterback getting his first career start on the road. So here we are, post-bye week. Mountaineers are going to go, 15 days in between games, and there's still questions. Who's going to start at quarterback for the Mountaineers? Is Jalen Henderson going to be available? The Mountaineers listed a depth chart, and there was a lot of oars at the quarterback position, but I think it was Khalil Wilkins listed first. Do with that what you will. Scotty Fox, I believe, was listed second. Do with that what you will. I do think that this is the route to go. I've talked about it. I think, if I was head coach for the Mountaineers, I would say, you know what? With the way the season has gone so far, Khalil Wilkins, Scotty Fox, show them what you got, and let them be the focal point. Let them be the guys that get the reps in the second half of the season, and let the chips fall where they may, because at least you set yourself up to be in the know, like, okay, next year we got a quarterback, or we might have to go get somebody, right? So Khalil Wilkins, Scotty Fox, Jalen Henderson, again, still in the mix. So we'll see. But 3.5 is the total because UCF. Okay, so they had a quarterback start last week who passed for 220 yards, ran for over 100 in the loss to Cincinnati. They, like the Mountaineers, are sitting at 0-3 in Big 12 play. Their primary starter, who's gotten the most significant time this season, Taven Jackson, has again received the most reps. He has over 900 yards and 3 touchdowns and a pick on the season for him. But it's interesting because Jackson, along with another UCF quarterback that would their third string quarterback, Ja'Curry Brown, was listed on the injury report. He and Jackson both were heading into the game against Cincinnati, and then I read that on the final injury report before the game, Jackson was not listed, and so that would indicate that he is able to go, but he didn't see the field. He did not play against Cincinnati in the 20-11 loss for UCF. It was the quarterback Cam Fancher getting the start for them again, who threw for over 220 yards and rushed for over 100 and a touchdown. What does that indicate for this coming week? I don't know. But these are two teams struggling to open up Big 12 play. These are two teams to looking to finish the season stronger, looking to finish Big 12 play stronger than they've started it with 0-3 starts. And 3.5 quarterbacks total, right? That could be 2 for the Mountaineers and 2 for the Knights, and we hit that over. So I'm gonna say take the over here, because I think it's very likely. We know West Virginia is probably going to go over, and if the last few weeks are any indication of UCF and what they plan to do, especially if these guys are healthy again and not on the injury report, I think we might see multiple quarterbacks out of them. Mentioned before, Khalil Wilkins. This is going to be our second over-under in Week 6 against BYU in his first career start on the road against a ranked opponent, undefeated. He had 23 carries for 89 yards and a touchdown. Obviously not ideal. Obviously, you don't want your redshirt freshman to carry the ball that much. It's not sustainable each and every week. Again, he did good things with the ball in his hands on the ground, 23 carries, 89 yards. But not sustainable. And so we're not setting the over at 22.5 or 23.5. We're setting Khalil Wilkins' rush attempts to be over or under 16.5 rushes. Now, obviously, elephant in the room, the big indicator as to whether or not you're going to go over or under here is based on how much time you think Khalil Wilkins is going to be on the field. Because is Scotty Fox going to play? Is Jalen Henderson going to play? What are we going to see? And if it's Khalil Wilkins from start to finish, that might be a safer way to say, yeah, we're going to go over. But we don't know what this is going to look like. What I do think is, I don't think he's getting 23 carries again. I could be wrong. But again, that's not something you want to be sustainable. That's not something that you want to be given for you, right? You want to be able to mix it up and free him to make plays through the air and hand it off to running backs that can get the job done as well. I will say that if this line was just 16.5, over or under for West Virginia quarterbacks and their rush attempts, I would say take the over, right? Scotty Fox is a proven runner and willing runner as well. But with it just being Wilkins and with the uncertainty at the quarterback position, and again, not wanting to reach the 20s again with him, I would say under for 16.5, just given the uncertainty. All right, last over or under here, and it's one that kind of just pays tribute to what we've seen out of two specific players on the Mountaineer defense. Chase Wilson and Fred Perry have been very good. They just have, and in a start to Big 12 play that has had limited bright spots, Fred Perry and Chase Wilson have been that. On the defensive end, I'll read you some of these numbers, but first, you think back, again, whether or not you were awake in that Mountaineer 14-point loss to BYU, there are two reasons that two reasons why West Virginia only lost by 14 against BYU. And they both reside on the defensive end, and their names are Chase Wilson and Fred Perry. So Chase Wilson had several tackles, had a pick when BYU was driving on a really, really great play. But the play of the game for the Mountaineers came in the first half. Mountaineers are struggling. They're down. And Fred Perry, I said it post-game, it was not like a team defensive play like you often see when a turnover's forced. This was just one man making a play. Bear Bachmeier went, they're backed into their own, I don't know, they maybe snapped it at the 5-yard line, did BYU, after a West Virginia punt. And they run like an option play, and Bear tries to pitch it to the running back, and Fred Perry just swats it out of the air and jumps on it, right? So he got the forced fumble because it was a backward, pitch, and then he jumped on it for the fumble recovery. It was an incredible play. And, he's approaching Bear and he's approaching the running back, and it's like, which way is he going to go? Is he going to go left or is he going to go right? How's he going to play this? Because if you go all out on the running back, Bear's going to take off and run it. If you sell all out for Bear, then he's going to pitch it to the running back. And so Fred just kind of played a really nice in-between game, messed with Bachmeier, the freshman, and was able to pick up just an incredible, incredible play on a forced fumble and fumble recovery for Fred Perry. That play was absolutely insane. Just a beautiful play. Again, not indicative of impressive team defense, but one that was just a star player making a star play. With that said, here's the numbers through 3 Big 12 games for Wilson and Fred Perry. Wilson has 17 total tackles, individual and assists, 17 tackles, and that pick against BYU. Fred Perry has 22 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and that fumble recovery against BYU over those 3 games. And so that is 39 total tackles combined for Fred Perry and Chase Wilson. And so we're going to set the line for their total tackles against UCF at 12.5. So will they get to their average that they've reached the last 3 games, or will they be under that mark? And I'm going to say take the over because, they have, again, I said it to start this little segment here, like they have been the bright spot. They have been the pieces that have found success and done good things for the Mountaineer defense when not much is really going for you. And I think they're going to do their best to get involved, get in on the action, and hit that over and continue that trend of being, this team's leaders. And I would say, definitely take the over of 12.5 total tackles for Fred Perry and Chase Wilson. All right, a couple more episodes will be coming your way as we count down to kickoff for West Virginia and UCF. So be sure to be on the lookout for those episodes coming. But this is just part 2 of this little series or whatever you want to call it as we head into Saturday's matchup with the Knights at 1 o'clock Eastern down in Orlando. I went to that game a couple years ago when Mountaineers played there, and Mountaineers traveled well. And I expect even through this season that's been rough, interesting, weird, whatever you want to describe it with, I'm sure they'll travel well. So let's go Mountaineers, and we'll see you next time on Mountaineer Moment.